This is episode 56 of the Hybrid Coaching Podcast. In this episode, JK and I talk about the mentality leading into the World Championship week for High Rocks, as well as pacing strategies that you can or should use during the World Championships runs that you have. I have a couple interruptions during this episode, so JK gets a lot of solo time during it. But I hope you enjoy. Let's make hybrid fitness work for you. How's it going today, JK?
Mr. Parasini, I'm well. Thank you, sir. How are you?
I am good. We were just having a long chat before we started recording, so we got to get into the groove here of what we're gonna do. This is a little bit of a off the cuff episode here, guys. Didn't write out a plan. We just wrote out basically 2 or 3 topics that we're gonna cover today.
I'm excited for this one, actually.
Yeah, so it's just gonna go all on our own, right off the top of the brains. We're gonna start with mentally preparing for a race, because you're not going to be on next week until after your race, right? So maybe we'll have a breakdown, like a post-race day breakdown stuff. But for right now, just looking at it, we're going to talk about mentally preparing for the race and race day pacing or race pacing for the individual race on this one. That's what we're going to go with. Maybe next week I'll get out an episode just about something, and it might be a solo episode. And otherwise, I would like to sit down and do in Chicago, either with you or with all the elite athletes, be able to sit down and talk and just do post-race breakdowns, kind of like we did after Hong Kong and Vegas and Glasgow and Worlds last year. Like, yeah, we can do some talking after that. So those are actually our highest performing episodes, by the way, are those post-race day breakdowns. Everybody wants to hear those.
Yeah, cool. That makes sense, right? We didn't get one done in Glasgow, did we? No. Or Vegas. I think we did one in Hong Kong and we did one in Amsterdam, I'm fairly sure. I might be wrong there. Anyway, yeah, if you're listening to this, we're recording this on Friday,
June 6th.
the 6th, right? So next week is obviously the World Champs week, which starts on Thursday. So I guess, yeah, Anthony, to kick it off, like, I mean, here's the thing from my end. I personally think, like, we talk about training and fitness and the structure of training and all this physical stuff, right? But I know for a fact that mentally, your mental capacity, I'll probably say, not fitness, but mental capacity is when it comes down to it, race day, racing, it comes down to your mental capacity, your thought process, or not thinking, or what have you, right? That can really make or break a race, right? That's the first thing I'll say, from my end, right? And I think, like, right, we talk about fitness, we talk about physical stuff all the time, but geez, like, the mental side of fitness and the mental side of, like, capacity mentally is so important.
Yeah. I mean, there's the ability to get fit and the ability to make yourself fitter, and doing it, alone or with a group, even like being able to do it in practice, but performing on the day is something that's, comes down to mental. Are you going to break in the race when you get pressured? Like,
Yeah.
Are you going to be able to keep your cool and race the way you want to, or is somebody going to pull you out and mess up your day?
Yep.
Uh, and then how you can stay fixed, stay purposeful in what you're doing, you know,
Yeah.
mentally engaging. That's something I have a question about. So, do you get distracted? Do you do anything special? For example, you've had a big flight over from Australia. Do you sleep during those flights? Do you watch videos? Do you do anything? You have another flight coming up. Hey, baby. Uh, you have another flight coming up tomorrow where you're flying from Nashville to Chicago. Is there anything around that you do to mentally prepare for those? Because those are just, static times with your thoughts.
Yeah. I think the first thing to say about that, Anthony, is I uh I'm very good at choosing choosing things or not choosing things to do on purpose to help myself mentally. And what that means is um I try to switch off is the most important thing. Um I'm lucky that I'm in a relationship with Georgie where we have a lot of fun. I'm the first to say we enjoy each other's, um, I guess, banter together, and we try to have a lot of fun, and our relationship is based off that. And I think I know for a fact that's so nice for me leading into a race because Georgie helps me just relax. Flying tomorrow, as you said. Yeah, like I want to make sure that I can mentally kind of zone out or um, not necessarily always be thinking about what's coming up. And the way I do that is a few things. One is I I've gravitated to music a lot. I think music can be a big distraction in a good way, and it also can lighten the mood as well. I've had days where, um, I'm not feeling the best mentally, or I'm just kind of not as maybe mentally switched on, and all of a sudden I choose to go, you know what? Let's put on some sort of music and it can really change my mood. Um, I think leading into an A race, right? And if you're listening to this and you're racing in a week's time at Hyrox Worlds, um, it's obvious that your world champs is probably definitely your A race of the year, right? Um, Understanding that everyone going to Worlds is going to be very fit. And accepting that mentally is really important in my eyes. And leaning towards that feeling of knowing that everyone is going to be super fit on that start line, and that's okay. That is super okay. One thing, and I listened to only yesterday, Anthony. It's a podcast, and Steve Magnus was on it. I don't know if you have heard of Steve Magnus, a very known, a well-known running coach. Um, he was talking about trying to relate to the feeling of a race or the feeling of, there you go, the science of running. Steve Magnus is talking about trying to relate and trying to mentally attach yourself to the feeling of an outcome versus the outcome. And he even talks about actually being open to the other people that you're racing, getting um preparing you more and more because if it wasn't for the guys that I'm racing against and them being so fit, I wouldn't be feeling the way I'm feeling, nervous, excited, what have you. But being okay with those feelings is so important. And the journey of those feelings is actually very important because if you can let go of the outcome mentally and just zone in on the feelings of understanding that it's okay to feel nervous, it's okay to um, be uptight, be aware of those feelings, but be okay with them. And let the others around you, the athletes that you're about to race against, lift you up versus bringing you down. You're going to be starting on that start line, and the only thing that you can do is let go and give it all you got, and the outcome will take care of itself. You know,
Yeah, there's two types of people kind of out there. Somebody who wishes that the people that they were racing weren't as fit so that they could get an advantage on them, and then there's the people that want everybody else to be as fit as they could possibly be so that they win because they know that they're on the day, right? And usually that comes down to how prepared you are. If you are prepared and you feel like you're as fit as you can possibly be, then you want everybody else as fit as they can be. If
yeah,
you're not prepared, you're hoping that everybody else isn't either. But you mentally want to be in that area where you're like, okay, I I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna run or do my race to the maximum of my ability. And I see it as like, this is what I have to give, and how do I get the most out of myself at all times, during this
exactly.
race I'm about to do.
Yeah. And here's the thing, and I can only talk for myself. Myself getting the most out of myself is actually not shying away from the feelings that I have about the other athletes. It's okay to feel somewhat nervous about, okay, if these guys are going to be fit, if these girls are going to be fit. That is, we're only human, guys. That is okay. It's acknowledging those feelings, but not letting them get in the way either. I think another thing Steve Magnus spoke about in this podcast was your thoughts aren't you. Like you aren't your thoughts. You can think something, but it's how you think about that something that truly matters. Or if you're feeling nervous and you've got butterflies, being okay and actually understanding that that is exactly how you want to feel. Because if you weren't feeling that, what would be the point? I'll bring it back to me. If I on Thursday night, even Wednesday, probably Tuesday, aren't feeling nervous, man, there's something wrong.
Yeah. Well, you should definitely get nerves. And I think like if you go back and look, I believe at the Olympics, the guys put out their heart rates and you could see like the heart rate graphs, and you could see spikes in different athletes' heart rates when their name was called to come out. Like these
Yeah,
guys are feeling it too. Like everybody's feeling the nerves. It's just how you're handling them.
yeah.
And when you're handling them, right? Like it's okay to get the butterflies. It's okay to get nerves. Um, don't put, don't make it so much pressure on yourself though that like your your worth, don't tie it to your performance,
I
right?
think that, yeah,
Um,
yeah,
Before we go too much further, I do want to say because I just realized this because I had pulled this stuff up earlier when we were talking. Um, we will get back to our sport to hybrid, and we will get back to a lot of questions because we did get a lot of questions this last week. Guys, we are just going to address those afterwards. We're going to focus on this week, the topics that we have of mentally preparing for worlds and pacing. And then next week is going to be whatever we can get out as far as talking to all the athletes that I can, including JK after his race.
yeah.
And then when we pick back up, afterwards, that's when we'll address multiple comments and questions we got, as well as pick back up the sport to hybrid, because somebody did clarify what Irish hurley is,
Yeah, cool.
and high Irish hurling. So we'll get more into that, guys. But this is just going to be a little side tangent that we'll come back to. But yes, as far as mentally being prepared as an athlete, literally there's a whole segment of there's a group of people, there's a whole job there's jobs based on sports psychology, right? One thing I did enjoy actually is when I was wrestling for Oregon State, we would have once a month these um, mandatory student athlete things that we all had to go to, like the whole student athlete body, and a lot of those were sports psychologists coming to talk to all the student athletes, and so we used to do the whole like tapping thing, like you tap your pressure points as focus, and we would do a whole bunch of just different sports psychology philosophies at the time, and they would
Right.
come talk. And so, actually, some of those I've still used and put forward as far as like how you're thinking about the race.
Mm.
And JK, you might not know it, but it's some of the questions I ask you and some of the leading things. Like
I
it's just
bet.
things that
I
I
bet,
picked up
right.
from
Yeah.
back then.
Yeah. Yeah. And like that's the thing. You've learnt uh you've learnt a lot of the things from your background. I've learnt a lot of the things from my background, not from just the training and the physical stuff we need, but the mental preparation as well. I think just going back on track with if you're listening to this, I think one of my recommendations would be to think about anything that gets you relaxed. Um, and start doing that before a big race, whatever that is. Something that's not physical, because I actually just thought to myself, running makes me relax, but I'm not. Don't worry, coach. I'm not going to go out for an extra run on my taper, but do something that makes you relax. Be around people, not necessarily socializing too much, but be around people that make you happy as well. Because I tell you what, like that's very important when it comes to mentally relaxing before a race. I look like again, the only thing I can preface is from my own experience, but I'm a big visualizer when it comes to preparing for a race as well. So the amount of times that I've been training or even, not training and I've visualized myself performing, whether it is Thursday, Friday or Saturday night. I think that's a great mental component or thing you could do. Um, Anthony, what
So
like
I
visualization, yeah.
Yeah, you do visualization, that's fine. And there's multiple forms of visualization, guys. So um, you can go through a lot of these. Let's start back a little bit. You talked about being on the flights and stuff. JK, do you meditate? And you can say visualization is a type of meditation, right? Where you're just maybe put yourself in a cool, dark room, low distractions, like whatever it is, and do you just sit there and think about the race, or do you just like try to clear your mind? Um, are there any sort of like meditation? And running can be meditation, but you're
Yeah.
not trying to add uh,
Yeah.
stress, right? Because there's physical and there's mental stress, and we're trying to reduce the mental stress, but we don't want to change it to physical stress. So the
Yeah.
question becomes like, okay, are you meditating? And visualizing can be meditation. But are you doing that while you're actively doing something else, like while you're cooking, or are you doing that while you are working out, or are you in a calm area? Like, what are you doing to mentally engage yourself or mentally detract from everything else? And just as an example, I get anxious, especially like for me, it's all I think about is have I prepared these guys enough? Have I done all the right things? What else could I have done? Like I'll think about that all the time.
Yeah.
Because I'm not the one out there executing. I'm not the one out there doing this stuff. Like I my time is basically done a week out, 2 weeks out, and it's like, what else can I do to prepare you guys? And so I get a lot of anxious energy, and usually I just end up cleaning as like mentally engaging myself. I'll go clean or I'll go cook, like just something to keep myself distracted and fun, or I'll sit down at the computer and write. So
Mm.
um, there's a lot to it, but what kind of things do you do if you're doing your visualization and you're doing other things outside of that? Do you go program? Do you just go take a
Yeah.
nap? Do you like how do you do that, and how do you like clear your mind from that?
So first of all, funny kind of not funny, but Georgie just asked me how my work this week has gone, like my programming this week, and this week I have I have done triple the amount of programming. So I'm 3 weeks ahead of what I normally am, and that's just because my brain wants to be thinking about anything else but the race right now, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but yeah, I end up trying to keep myself busy by continuously working. Um, so I'm very on top of my work at the moment. Um, on top of that, though, naturally for the last probably about 2 or 3 months, I've caught myself, or I guess on purpose, I've started meditating by box breathing, um, like 3 or 4 times a day, just whenever it comes.
Sorry, I gotta run downstairs and help Lauren with the treadmill. You can keep finishing that, and then I'll cut this part out.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Sounds good. I'll time you. I think I've learned that. Sorry, I'll go back to like a few times a day. I tend to catch myself box breathing. Not catch myself, but I tend to box breathe and what box breathing is, or in my eyes, is a big breath, counting to four, holding for four, releasing for four, and continuously doing that for 1 to 2 minutes. Sometimes I only do it for 30 seconds or a minute. Sometimes it's two. But I end up doing that a couple of times um, a day. And I did it when I got home from the gym just before, when I was getting some food ready. And, I've done it straight after a workout a few times lately, just to, I guess, just to, um, yeah, mentally switch off or mentally try to calm down. I know for a fact that when we're talking about recovery and we're talking about mentally preparing ourselves, the one thing you want to try to get familiar with is actually slowing down your whole body and whole heart rate and cardiovascular, and like your nerves, etc., by being focused on your breath. And I try to be focused on my breath immediately after any type of workout. Just try to stay as calm as possible, so I can start my recovery process by, um, I guess, de-stressing as quickly as possible. So those are a few things that I end up doing, and guys, meditation, um, visualization isn't necessarily for everyone, and it's tough. But you can try to find your own way. It could be as simple as, like, your meditation is putting on music and cooking dinner, and that is your meditation. Putting on your favorite playlists, um, and preparing food. It could be as simple as um, having a bath and being very still. No, no phone. That's a big one. And I think I've spoken about this previously. I always delete Instagram off my phone. Um, I haven't had it for a couple of weeks now. I'm lucky that Georgie does all my Instagram leading into a race. That's just because I want to mentally not be distracted on social media. Um, so yeah, it's understanding that there are a lot of ways to um, mentally prepare, and it's more about trying to find your way, not one way, not my way is the right way for you, and nor it should be. But if you are someone who does get anxious, does get nervous, and it kind of starts taking control of you, whether or not it's just in life or before a race, doesn't matter. The only thing you can do is start to do something different or start to do something to try to help it or to try to get on top of it. Because if you don't do anything about it, then you're not going to improve or you're not going to get on top of it. Um, Anthony, you know, like mentally, um, are there anything else that you would suggest um, leading into a big race, apart from visualization, some form of meditation, um, and also, as I suggested, some form of just escape? Are there anything else that you would suggest?
Um, no, I mean, kind of missed what you talked about there, but I would say if there's nothing apparent, just try to relax your mind, get your own um into your own place, whatever that is,
Mm.
somewhere comfortable for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So get in your comfort zone, whatever that is. And, sometimes it's tough. Sometimes there's a lot of external stressors. So you don't want to, um, you want to reduce those as much as possible. And as you guys are preparing for your race, go there with with intention. Go to your race at the time you're supposed to race. Like, don't be sitting around the venue the whole day, and taking in everything, drinking the extra Red Bulls that are handed out, drinking everything that's sampled there. Like, you guys are there for your purpose, and then when your race is over, you can enjoy it, have fun, go around, do the things you want to do, root on others. Because if you're doing it before then, you're just taking away from your own reason for being there.
Mm. Absolutely. Yeah.
So you got that. All right. Let's go on to like a little bit of pacing. Unless you have anything else you want to add to the mental side of it.
No, that's it, guys. Make sure you try to find your own mental um, uh, way to calm down or kind of way to what's the right word here? De-stress. There's not always one right way.
All right. Um, okay. So let's go into talking your pacing. So throughout this year so far, JK, I don't know if anybody's followed as closely with you, but you've done in the races. We've talked about it. I've talked with you about it, but you're the one that does it. Um, Various strategies on how to pace your race.
Mm.
And you've had the practice at high level in majors, and you won two of them, took second and fourth. Like, so obviously there's a pacing strategy that you will employ in this race, um, that we've tried and tested against other strategies. So let's just talk about kind of how you're going to go about it, how you're going to do.
Yeah. I think pacing is probably the most important thing when it comes to a high rocks race, right? Um, the first thing to say or to note is that the only time during a high rocks race that I think you should have full autonomy to just empty the tank and go as hard as possible is the warbles. Prior to that, it's all about pacing, and pacing comes with knowing your own body and knowing your fitness, knowing your training, and being confident with it, right? You're not going to win a high rocks race from the gun. You could lose it, and you could always lose it off the ski erg as well. However, I think Anthony, to kind of preface here, um, for an individual athlete, you need to be aware of your own perceived effort and understand that, yeah, it's meant to hurt. Like, it's not meant to feel easy right from the word go, but you've got to manage your effort right from the word go. I mean, pacing to me is my what's the right word? Like, is very important to me. Because if I don't um do what I should do in terms of my tactics that I talked to Anthony about, my pacing strategies, one, it like I'm going against everything that I've done for the last for the last 18 months with you, right, Anthony? Like,
Yeah, and I think another good point about that is like I want to define what pacing is because people are like, "Oh, pacing, does that mean that I go out, way slower than I expect to finish or do I go out faster and then just see where I die or like what is your pacing?"
mm,
Like because a lot of people they don't have 20, 30 races under their belt and know like what it's supposed to feel like at certain points. And it's variable too because you're going different effort levels on the machines, you're going different effort levels at the stations. So can you recover during parts of those so that you can go harder on the run? Or is it
yeah.
the exact opposite? Can you recover on the station? Or sorry, can you recover on the run so you can go harder on the stations? Like what is the pacing for you? And really, that's one of the reasons we talk about our lactate threshold, right? Is because you want to get to that point where I've shown a graph on here before where lactate threshold goes parabolic, basically when you get over a certain level. So you
Yeah.
want to go right up to that without crossing and getting over there. Because if I go right up to that and I go over a little bit, but then come back down and then I'm clearing more than I'm creating, I'm at least getting my level back down, right? And so if I
Exactly.
can be right underneath of it, so I'm clearing more than I'm creating during either the run or during the station, then I can go a little bit over it during the other piece. Or if I know
Yeah.
where my strengths are, right, I can go a little bit over during my strengths. And then during my weaknesses, if I stay right under, I'm still managing my effort level. And so it's understanding where's that red line for you? Where is that line where I can go right up to it without crossing? And how close to that line can you get and stay?
And like, how can you like the question there is like, okay, how do you know your line? Like, where is that line, right? And the
And
answer, yeah, like,
yeah, and part of that is the line moves. The more you get fatigued, that red line, what you're able to cross and go to, it's coming down or
yeah,
adjusting based on your effort level before it. So, how do you ride that line and stay with it when it's moving? It's a moving
yeah,
target.
absolutely. Anthony, I was actually talking to one of my athletes about this during the week because he asked me, should I? just an example was, should I go really hard for the first 200 meters on the ski erg, go easy for the next 200, and then go hard again, etc., etc. Meaning his effort, right, is going to be like a yo-yo, or his heart rate's going to be like a yo-yo effect, where he's going up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And the question that I'm throwing you here is like, what's more sustainable over a high rocks race? A up, down, yo-yo type of heart rate slash effort, or an effort level that is moderately just horizontal the whole time.
Yeah. Well, in math, right? It'd be if I was to show you a graph and show you two different graphs, the one that's worth more in terms of a race or anything is what has the most area under the curve, integrating, right?
Yep.
So the more power, the more intensity that's been put out, whether it's higher or lower or steady, right? It's how much it's okay to go if it's a level line, it's okay to go over it sometimes as long as you don't go that far underneath of it for an extended time.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and so it's finding that line and riding it and feeling it. You don't know that unless you've been doing the right things in your training to help you understand where that's at.
Yeah.
And that's
Absolutely.
why like you do a lot of different types of training so you can feel, oh, this or this. And you don't have to do tests. You don't have to like test all the time. You just have to know what you're capable of. I really like EMOMs because I'm like, I know no matter what, I can do, you know, 25 wall balls in a
Excellent.
minute for 10 minutes or however long. And so if I'm in the race and I get to the wall balls, I'm be like, well, at least I can do 25 and I don't have to do 4 minutes of it instead of 10. Like,
Yeah.
so I know my pace. As long as I have that 10 seconds rest, I'll be able to do the next one. So you
Yeah.
can you can do things like that.
Exactly. I just want to preface something just quickly, Anthony. I think pacing, right? Like, yes, we'll go back to it, but the first thing I'll say is like, it's meant to be hard. A high rocks race is meant to feel hard. I mean, we're meant to go fast. That's the point. I know what I'm saying here is like, um,
If you can ride an effort level of 9
bingo.
like the
If you
entire
can,
time, then that's what you ride. If you
that's what you
can't
do.
if you can't sustain an effort level of 9, if you have to do an effort level of 7 to make yourself feel better, then that's what you maintain. Like
Exactly.
what
Yeah,
your ability is what you can push to. Uh,
exactly.
if I'm out there trying to like for example the last time I did a solo high rocks not like our doubles my average heart rate was a 188 my average heart rate
Average.
during it was a 188
Yeah,
like I was dying the whole time but I was sustaining right up until I cramped
yeah,
out at the last two stations and like ended up just kind of jogging the last run because I couldn't flex my ankles right um that is just part of the race though. Like you don't
mm,
want to cramp out, do better, take your hydration, take your nutrition so that you don't do what I did. Uh
yeah,
but like you can know what your ability to push is based on what your training has taught you, shown you.
yes, correct. You're not meant to go slow.
Yeah.
Like we're not meant to go slow.
You
And
want to do you want to go hard in the beginning, hard in the middle, and hard at the end.
right at the end. And that's
But
exactly
that's
right.
that's
I
those are
mean,
relative terms, right?
exactly. I was about to say that. That's all relative, guys. Like that, what we just said there is all relative. You're hard at the beginning, you're hard in the middle,
Yeah.
you're hard at the
Your
end.
your hard pace is not the same as somebody else's hard pace.
No,
Like your easy pace might be the same as somebody else's hard pace, though. Does that
exactly.
mean that you guys shouldn't be running together? Like
Yeah.
you should be going your moderate hard pace to do it. And like I know people look at the elite athletes and are like, well, this is how they run it. They run so fast. And it's like they are fast. They're not like going out any faster than they should. They're going
No,
out like the pace they're gonna go.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
That's why they're the elite athletes. Like that's how fast they are.
Yeah, yeah. So. how do, again, just if you like, how do you find that red line, or do you have any like,
You have to find it beforehand. You have to do it.
yes,
You
you
have
need to
to.
know your pace
You need
beforehand,
to.
right?
You need to know, like, several weeks out. You can have a test run. Like JK, you did a test run in Atlanta, like
Yeah,
whatever, 5 weeks ago,
yeah,
um, 6 weeks ago. So that was a test run. Find where your red line is, and then once you hit it and you can't, and you break yourself, okay, well, I can go right up to that as long as I don't go over that feeling again.
yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah,
Everybody that's racing at Worlds, every single person there, unless they're a substitute, has raced before because they had to qualify.
yes,
So like from your past race, what you're able to get up to, and that's
hmm
what you're about to do. You want to get right up to that line. And if you're feeling good, you can ride it longer. You can go a
yeah,
little bit further. If you're not, though, you don't need to. But once you get to the wall balls, like, who cares if you break down? Like, you're gonna finish them.
yeah,
Like, just you don't have to leave enough to get across the finish line because, I mean, unless you reach that like triathlon line where you just collapse, like you can get that extra 50 feet, 100 feet to the
yeah,
finish line. Um, but let yourself collapse there. Let yourself be expended, you know?
yeah.
Um,
Everything in
wring everything
Hyrox.
you can out of yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, everything in Hyrox until the Warballs is about pacing, and then it's not.
Yeah.
Like, and then it's really not.
Yeah.
Um,
Because it's
again,
only, I mean,
yeah,
it's only 2 minutes. Once you get to 50 wall balls, there's 2 minutes left. Like,
that's it.
all right, I can you run a sprint. A 2 minute sprint is like an 800 meter or something for really, really fast people. If there's 3 minutes left, like say you got 70 wall balls and you got 3 minutes, like, okay, it's like, all right, now I have to run a hard 800.
Yeah,
Or I have to row less than 1,000, like, but this is it. Just got to get there.
yeah, that's right. It's only, as we say, Anthony. It's not 100 Warballs. It's
So
just holding on for 3 minutes and 30
yeah.
seconds.
It's 3 minutes and 30 seconds trying to finish it out. Now that is for people that can get to that point. This is why movement is so important. If you do not have good movement patterns, if you haven't been practicing the skill of the movement and it's completely gone and you're broken down, you're gonna run into a lot of trouble there. And that's what happens. Like that's when you see the 7 and 10 minute wall ball times
Yeah,
is like that movement patterns there when you're fresh, but it's not when you're tired. Uh,
yeah,
and so you've taken too much damage to that point. You want to get to that point with the ability to still squat fully, to still be able to throw that ball. And then once you get there, that's when you can be like, all right, I just got to hang on and go. Because I've said this to you before, JK. If I gave you 20 pounds and told you to squat 100 times, you could do it forever, right?
yeah,
Like you could just keep going at a steady pace. Now, why not at the end of the race?
yeah. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So,
Um,
um, and that's right, guys. We made a lot of assumptions right there. We assume that you have a good movement pattern. We assume that you can get into position easily. If you struggle getting into position, it's actually probably not going to become anaerobic or maybe even aerobic for you because if you struggle to get all the way down in the squat, uh, then that's what you're going to be more focused on, and your heart rate's probably going to come down while you're attempting to get into that position.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But yeah, pacing is all relative. Finding your line, finding that red line, and I guess being slightly under it, let's just call it that way, is the most important, and not going over.
Yeah. And so,
Um,
guys, what that means, though, just to put some numbers on it, is if you want to start out in a race, start out at your LT2 run or about 10K pace for that first run, see how it feels, get
yeah,
moving, and then gauge from there how close you get. Because, you do have to burn through that the first system and the second, the glycotic system, like you'll burn through those, and then you get to your aerobic system, and everything's aerobic. So,
Yeah.
um, just get up to that point.
Everything's aerobic. Everything's aerobic. Um, that's right, Anthony.
Yeah. So, JK, how are you gonna pace it?
How am I going to pace my race on Thursday night?
Sure, that one.
I am going to go
Balls to the wall right away. Get a 20-meter
really
lead
hard.
on everybody. Come out the ski first, and just never give up.
You've read my mind.
Perfect. All right, I want to
And
see it. You're gonna lead from the very first step until across the finish line. Is that what I'm hearing?
that's exactly right.
All right.
I'm going to go hard at the start. I'm going to go hard in the middle. And guess what? I'm going to go hard at the end.
You're not gonna taper back a little at the end.
No way. I'm going to even go harder.
Right. Um, well, do you have planned out what you're going to be taking during the race? We got your feed hat on. We should do a little promo for
Yeah.
them for this. So, do you know anything that you're going to take throughout the race?
Yeah, and due to my trial and error, in term with my races I've done previously, but also in training lately, I've decided that I'll be taking two liquid um, carbohydrate um, bottles, and they'll be full of Morton 160 mix, which is 40 grams of carbohydrates and a little bit of sodium. That's it. So I'll be having that. I'll be having two of them. The first one will be somewhere in the first half of the race, the first quarter of the race, probably, to be honest. And then the second one will be maybe who knows when the second one will be. But to go back to it, it'll be the Morton 160 carb mix. It's pretty much just 40 grams of carbohydrates in water. Does the trick for me. So if you want to check them out, Morton is a very what would be the right word here, Anthony? Very prestigious brand on the feed. But you can also get any other form of carbohydrate mixes and gels and supplements on the feed. Um, that will do the trick as well.
Yep.
Um,
And guys, there's a lot. There's hydration, there's carbs, there's protein, supplements, gear, and superfoods, like a whole bunch. But you heard what JK is going to take and kind of when he's going to take it on his race. You guys should absolutely have it planned out for your race as well beforehand. And if you go in there thinking that you're not going to take anything, that's kind of where you'll experience the excessive fatigue or cramping at the end of a race. So you should have something planned out, whether no matter what you get or where you get it. But if you want to go to thefeed.com, if you guys want to get $80 in annual feed credit or 5% back if you've already ordered from them before, you can go to thefeed.com/team/the-hybrid-engine and you'll become part of our team and you'll get the feed sponsorship points for that, where you can get a personalized bottle with an order over $65. Or if you haven't ordered from the feed before, you'll get $80 of feed credit or 5% feed cash back on any future orders.
Unreal, unreal. Um, what else, Anthony?
I think that's kind of what we were going to go over today. We went over pacing, we went over the mental prep, and guys, we got 6 days. JK races
Yeah.
in 6 days. The whole thing kicks off after the elite race on that Friday, so it's very exciting. If you guys haven't already, I highly recommend you watch the elite races. And if you're not at the venue, you can watch them on YouTube. Just go to High Rocks World on YouTube or on Instagram. They have links to it there as well. You can watch the live feeds, but it's a big week. It's a big weekend. There's also going to be a press conference. JK, you going to be part of that? That's on Wednesday. They have
Yeah.
the live press conference on YouTube already. So it's very exciting, guys. And if you haven't already, you should go check out. There's so many of these elite athletes that have YouTube channels as well that is helpful and everything, including my wife, Lauren Weeks. JK, you have one.
Sure do, yeah.
And there's just so many around there, guys. Check it out. And um, I hope you guys enjoy yourselves. If you are going to be in Chicago, uh, feel free to come say hi anytime after the elite race, the individual elite race is done.
Yes. And just for the listeners, yeah. Um, um, and Anthony is not rude. Like he's not a rude person at all. But when he is locked in watching, especially his wife and his other athletes, he's only got his
Distracted.
eyes. Yes, correct. So
No,
after Thursday
it's
night.
and yeah, I wouldn't try to be rude to anybody, but yeah, I'm just watching them for now. And so anytime after the elite races are done, I'm very happy to talk to anybody. I should have maybe some t-shirts that I'll get to people. Anybody on the hybrid engine, I'll definitely make sure I save them some shirts. But yeah, JK, do you have
Sure.
anything else? What's your plans over the weekend? What are you doing? Athlete, coach, personality influencer stuff.
Well, I'm racing Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, right? And then I've got a 247 shakeout run with Jake Dearden on Saturday morning. That will be time and place to be confirmed. But apart from that, guys, if you are there, like, especially after Thursday night, please don't feel afraid to come say hello, and would love to meet as many of you guys as possible, especially if you are avid listener to our podcast. We really appreciate it. It's been a year, and many more to come. So thank you guys.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Thank you for listening to the Hybrid Coaching Podcast. If you'd like to reach out and get in contact with us, you can email the Hybrid Coaching Podcast at gmail.com, or you can find us on Instagram either at the Hybrid Engine or at jk.jameskelly. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.